More with a 2-year guarantee and free classes on these previously loved machines.
It's time to buy a better machine and get a Bernina.
Save up to 20% off all new Bernina machines.
Take advantage of 20% off Bernina and Burnett presser feet.
1.99% 48-month financing.
The Bernina 735 is discounted and includes thousands of dollars of free accessories while supplies last. Come see the Bernina 990, the most amazing revolutionary sewing machine in the world.
Specially priced and receive over $2,000 worth of free Bernina accessories.
In business since 1960. Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Dave's Bernina.
Dave'sBernina.com.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Psst, honey. Honey! What? Shh, there's a salesman walking up the driveway.
Oh no, he's got a clipboard.
What do we do?
Get down.
Down?
On the floor, you...
Shoot, did he see us?
Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
Nice and quiet on all the Valley freeways. We do have the final cleanup of a crash in Roy. This is at Midland Drive and about 4,000 south. It's in the median center lane, not causing any delay. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy today with highs expected to hit 62. More of the same for Tuesday and Wednesday, but then on Thursday, temperatures will dip to the low 50s as a storm brings rain and snow to the region. Right now, it's partly cloudy and 56 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Even though tariffs on Canada and Mexico have been paused for another month, Republican lawmakers are growing alarmed, saying their constituents are struggling to follow and adapt to President Trump's back and forth on his tariff plans. If you're also watching the stock market today, you might have concerns growing about the tariffs and how they're impacting the markets and creating all kinds of uncertainty. A lot to get to on tariffs and more. Welcome to KSL Inside Sources. I'm your host, Taylor Morgan, here with Adam Gardner. I'm a partner at Morgan May Public Affairs. Adam is principal at ASG Consulting. Adam, we are just a few days off the end of the 2025 legislative general session. I had a wonderful weekend. I actually slept in for once. That was wonderful, but I'll tell you what, things are not slowing down today on Monday, March 10th. It is sunny, spring is in the air, but a lot of political uncertainty is growing.
So what do you mean by uncertainty? Are we talking just on the national level? With these tariffs, this back and forth, we're going to have tariffs, we're not going to have tariffs, we're going to have tariffs, just kidding. But now we're not. If you comply with USMCA, we're going to give you a reprieve for 1 month.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that business needs to succeed, it's a little bit of certainty in the market. Even if we know we're coming to a downturn, as long as there's certainty and we can plan and know. And what's really hard for business, and you would think a businessman as president would understand this or be more understanding to this, is there's just too much uncertainty right now, and we don't know what to expect, even from a guy who is the president is trying to lay out his plan, but he seems to be changing it a little too often.
And I think it's that change. It's the back and forth. It's the uncertainty, the instability. It's all of these things that are causing fear, frankly, fear in the marketplace, fear among investors. It's one thing for Donald Trump to threaten these tariffs as a way to potentially, cut a deal. And we saw this. We saw this weeks ago when the threat of the tariffs loomed, we saw Canada, we saw Mexico come to the table and contribute resources to border security, to stopping the flow of
They did a
fentanyl.
lot, I would argue.
They did a lot, yet that only bought them a month. And now we are kicking the can down the road again. So when it comes to these tariffs, I think that leaders in Washington, especially Adam, Republican lawmakers, members of Donald Trump's party, are becoming more and more fearful of political backlash if indeed the economy slips because of all of this uncertainty.
And Taylor, President Trump was asked about tariffs last night on a flight from Florida to Washington. President Trump called them, quote, the greatest thing we've ever done as a country, but he admitted a slight hesitation too.
Of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this: we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money.
I don't know if I buy that, Adam.
Well, I have a few ideas of where we could spend that money.
Yeah, maybe to pay off your interest rate on any kind of a loan you've gotten in the last year. That
Pay
would
off
be helpful.
the debt.
Pay
would
off
be
the
great.
national debt.
We say we're $36 trillion in debt. We have zero plan to actually fix that problem.
Yeah.
But he says we're going to be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. The problem is most economists and human beings would say that it's people, American citizens, that pay those tariffs, not necessarily other countries.
Yeah.
So that's one of the issues. We're going to be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, but let's remember that protectionist tariffs are taxes on the American people. So he's going to be significantly raising our taxes.
Yeah.
President Trump, talking to reporters on Air Force One, again spoke about the benefits of tariffs, even though they could cause inflation down the road.
I think the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country. It's going to make our country rich again.
Okay. The greatest thing we've ever done as a country?
I mean, that's his way, right? President Trump's only speaks in hyperbole.
Yes.
So nothing is
superlatives.
Yeah, nothing is normal. Everything is the best or the worst, and that's the way. That seems to be the way he's talking about things, because we've done some really great things in this country.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say that like a Smoot-Hawley bill from the 1930s prolonging the Depression would be one of the great things we've done.
Yeah.
In fact, universally, we could say it was a pretty bad idea to prolong the Depression.
Here's my thing. If these tariffs are so great, Adam, why do we keep postponing them?
That's a great point. You would just do them on day one.
Yeah.
We've seen, I saw a report on CBS News over the weekend where there was we have the tariff that went on to China, and China immediately took over all of northern Cambodia and built all of their factories that sell ottomans, clothing, furniture, whatever. They started building all of those factories in Cambodia to get completely out of the tariff game.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of companies in the United States, they're struggling about where to go next.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to nearshore or onshore. And a lot of companies over the last 8-9 years have been pressured to leave China. And they have done so, and they've gone to Mexico because they have inexpensive labor costs, and they have the NAFTA or the USMCA. And now those options are being completely taken off the table again. This is a problem for American consumers.
Yeah, you're exactly right. These tariffs are going to result in increased goods, increased costs here. Now, I've come along with President Trump on these tariffs. On the campaign trail, when he talked about tariffs, I looked at it as simply campaign rhetoric, right? I, at the time, thought that he was just trying to shore up those blue-collar votes that he needed to win states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, those automobile manufacturing Rust Belt states. He was endorsed by the Auto Manufacturers of America in the campaign. That was historic. That is why I thought he promised tariffs, Adam. Now, fast forward to actually implementing those tariffs. I then thought, he's going to follow through on this to cut a deal with Mexico and with Canada. And he did, but they're still on the table. Uncertainty, instability. No one can predict what Donald Trump is going to do next. And that may be a lot of fun in the political arena or in reality TV, but it is not fun when it comes to the American economy. The economy is strong. We heard from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who was at a U.S. Monetary Policy Forum in New York on Friday. And Federal Reserve Chair then said that the economy remains strong, but warned that there's high uncertainty around the economic impacts of Trump's trade policies. That right there says a lot and concerns me.
There's a lot of concern going through the halls of Congress as well. The Canadian tariffs will definitely have a detrimental impact on the economy of Maine and on border communities in particular, said Senator Susan Collins. We have, for example, a major paper mill in northern Maine right now on the border that gets its pulp from Canada. That's going to impact 510 people directly. I've talked to the owner of the mill. The imposition of a 25% tariff would absolutely be devastating. Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky said, I have every major industry in Kentucky lobbying me against them. The cargo shippers, the farmers, the bourbon manufacturers, the home builders, the home sellers, you name it, fence manufacturers. This is going to be a problem for Congress, too, to get on board with President Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, President Trump has promised that these tariffs may cause some discomfort in the short term. But again, it'll be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country. It'll all make us so rich, Adam, so rich in the long run, we won't even know what to do with all the money. Well, how long is the long run? And what are the odds of a recession caused by Trump's trade policies before we all get crazy rich? We'll talk about that coming up after the break.
Your CPA should be the first person you think of to help you get the most from your finances. Along with extensive tax expertise, CPAs also provide personal financial planning, business growth strategies, and general accounting services. Your CPA can make valuable tax-saving suggestions that a software program can't anticipate. For more than 100 years, the Utah Association of CPAs has served the professional community as the go-to resource for education, training, and advocacy. As trusted advisors, you can expect the best when it comes to CPAs leading you to financial wellness. Hire a CPA for making the most out of your money. Go to uacpa.org. uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. That's uacpa.org. Proud sponsor of the Money Making Sense podcast with Heather Kelly. Download wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's time once again for our free furnace sale, where you buy a new air conditioner and we give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free. You just pay the labor. And here's the best part. There's up to $5,600 in rebates and tax incentives available right now that can help you stack even more savings on top of this already amazing deal. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner, don't miss this opportunity to offset the cost by using someone else's money. To learn more, all you have to do is contact Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. One of our HVAC supervisors will come to your home, show you exactly how much you can save with our free furnace sale, and walk you through how to collect every dollar of rebate incentives your new system qualifies for. We even have a rebate support specialist to help you if you have questions. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Addiction is a family illness, and at Renaissance Ranch, long-term sobriety is a reality. We help family relationships so you don't have to recover alone.
We're the professional staff at Renaissance Ranch.
We don't see addicts as bad men trying to be good.
Rather sick men that need to get well.
This is our message to them.
That it doesn't matter how lost, beaten down, or defeated you may feel. Our greatest desire for you
is to see what we see.
That you are capable of healing.
Prepare to emerge to be the husband, the father, and the son that you were destined to be. So to our new brother,
we say, welcome home.
Addiction is a family illness, and at Renaissance Ranch, long-term sobriety is a reality. We help family relationships so you don't have to recover alone. New hope, new life at Renaissance Ranch.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
The stock market has been in rougher territory today after comments the president made over the weekend about a possible recession this year. This all coming while the Commerce Secretary says there's, quote, no chance, end quote, of a recession. We're going to be chatting with an economist in just a minute. But first, we're going to listen to what did the president actually say. And we have our guest, Robert Spenlove, senior economist at Zions Bank, on the line. And Robert, when we're finished listening to this soundbite, I'd love to get your thoughts.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great.
Okay. We have with us Robert Spenlove, senior economist at Zions Bank. Robert, thanks so much for being with us.
It's great to be with you.
Okay. I want to get your take on that quote.
Well, whether Trump thinks that there's a chance of a recession, the markets are increasingly seeing a higher probability of a recession because of the actions that he's taking. Now, the question is whether they're the right actions. Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary, was on CNBC on Friday, and he described this as economic detox. So he says that the economic expansion during the Biden administration was artificially supported by government spending, and that the market and the economy have become addicted to government spending. So he says this is necessary in order to break our addiction on government spending.
I actually don't disagree with that.
I can buy that.
We've been spending so much money.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And I want to make sure we give credit to Fox News for the Trump recession question soundbite there. Here's my problem. And Robert, you can please, I want to get your reaction to this. My concern is about the mixed messages, the contradictions, and all of the uncertainty. I mean, we have our Commerce Secretary saying there's no chance, zero chance of a recession. We have Donald Trump then speaking to Fox News saying that maybe, we're going to experience some discomfort as we detox from government spending here. Also, we have Goldman Sachs says there's a 20% chance of a recession. JP Morgan says 35%. Robert, what is going to happen if you had? Well, I don't know that I want to put you on the hot seat and ask you. Okay,
Go
fine.
ahead.
Give us a percentage. What are the odds, Robert Spenlove, of a recession coming in our near future?
Well, it's always difficult to predict these things. But I can tell you that the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta has a GDP predictor. And it just swung from predicting an expansion in the first quarter to predicting a contraction in the first quarter. So we can never say for sure what's going to happen, but the probability of a recession has gone up pretty significantly just in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, and so can you define a recession for our listeners?
So recession, kind of the popular definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of contracting GDP, or gross domestic product. But it's generally, the way you can see it is unemployment goes up, our production goes down, consumers pull back, businesses pull back. And so what we're not seeing that yet, and that's the struggle, is all of our data is backward looking, and the data that we're looking at still looks really, really good. But what the markets are reflecting is this enormous uncertainty that's emerged just in the last few weeks. And they're trying to price that in. And they're, just like you said earlier, if they knew exactly what the tariffs were going to look like, and if they knew what the future was going to look like with the market and with the economy, then they could price that in. But now they're just pricing in this enormous uncertainty and saying, well, if things are going to change every day, then we just need to pull back completely and not be making any future investments.
We're speaking with Robert Spenlove, senior economist at Zions Bank. Robert, what about this claim by President Trump that this discomfort, these fears of recession are being driven by America detoxing from federal spending? Do you think that claim is legitimate?
Well, the other thing you have to think about with Trump, he loves gambling, he loves gaming, and someone described it really well. They said Trump is playing with house money. So 1 year ago, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was at 40,000 points. It then rallied all the way up to 45,000 points. Even right now with this 1,000-point drop, it's still at about 41.8 or 42,000. So he's still got a few thousand points on the Dow that he can play with before he's going to start getting nervous. And so he's taking these big bets. He's trying to address what he sees as fundamental problems in the market. And he's saying, well, as long as I can play with this house money, I'm okay.
We've been pretty I'll speak for myself. I've been a pretty harsh critic of tariffs. I've been a free trade guy. I am for no tariffs except for on China all the time. And I'm having to kind of take a step back because people who are a lot smarter than me are saying that tariffs could be a good thing. And so I want to know, just from your perspective, Robert, can you give the argument for tariffs, why they would be important?
So, well, I'll give you their fundamental argument. Secretary Bessent made this point. He said one of the things that was exposed in the pandemic was the fundamental weakness in our global supply chains. If you think about how we couldn't get the things we needed, that's because our supply chains are spread too thin. And he said, if nothing else, one of their big goals, he calls it reindustrializing the U.S. economy. And he says, rather than relying on China or Africa or South America to produce our goods, we need to be producing our goods domestically in the United States. And yes, it will mean that prices are higher. But he says that a one-time price adjustment is not necessarily inflation. Now, let me give you the other side, though. which is we've tried this before and it hasn't worked. So, we tried this in the 1930s. We've tried this over the last 100 years, and it's never worked, but they say this time is different.
Robert, what impact could the fears of a recession have on interest rates?
Well, so it depends on which kind of interest rates you're looking at. The Federal Reserve sets short-term interest rates. And if they're looking at the prospect of a recession, then they have to say, okay, do we focus on the labor market? Do we focus on jobs? Or do we focus on prices? So tariffs can cause higher inflation, so that would indicate that the Fed needs to keep rates higher. But if people start to lose their jobs and unemployment goes up, then that would indicate that they need to drop interest rates. We may be facing what's called stagflation, where we have stagnating economic growth but high inflation, and that's kind of the worst case scenario for the Fed.
Doesn't sound good.
Robert Spendlove, senior economist at Zions Bank, thanks as always for joining us. And I'll just say I love seeing Robert Spendlove around the halls of the Capitol and getting to talk to him and pick his brain about what's going on the national stage economically. Thanks so much for joining us. When Inside Sources returns, the 2025 Utah legislative session is complete. 582 bills passed. And now it's on to the governor to sign or veto. Let's discuss a few outstanding legislative items beginning after this.
Good afternoon. It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour. 3 people have been arrested in Tooele County after a stabbing over a $50 debt. Police say someone dropped the victim off at the hospital with serious wounds and told officers 2 other males stabbed him in the left shoulder while he was walking down Elm Street. Instead, a tracking device led investigators to a woman who admitted the fight had happened outside her home and eventually to Tyrell Brady, who allegedly owed the victim $60. Brady and another woman were booked into jail. UDOT says it's pothole repair season, which means that you could see more freeway traffic stop for repairs in the coming days. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly reports.
4 big potholes on I-15 northbound in Davis County prompted UDOT to do rolling stoppages this morning between Bountiful and Farmington to fix them. Spokesman Mitch Shaw says the dry weather and sunshine make it the best time to repair the roads. He adds springtime is pothole repair season.
Crews also fixed a pothole in I-15 southbound in Sunset this morning, causing unusual delays in the area. Our top national story from ABC News: threatened tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico are sending the markets tumbling today. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down by more than 900 points, more than 2%, sitting at 41,872. S&P down by 164 points. The biggest loser, the NASDAQ, down by 4%, down 754 points. Spring-like weather for the first half of the week. We'll get an update of the forecast, see when it's going to change, coming up next.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Tay-Tay was a typical girl that loved pink, singing, and all kinds of animals. At 3 years old, she tumbled off a horse and received a traumatic brain injury. Her family prayed for a miracle. And when they realized their daughter would not survive, they made the decision to donate her organs. Because of her donation, 4 other people received her organs and tissue, allowing others to live. Go to donorconnect.life and read about what it takes to become a donor. Did you know many people think that they're too old and not in good enough health to be a donor? Anyone can be a donor. If you were told that it could save a life for someone close to you, or even a stranger, would you please donate? Finding out more on why you should become a donor is pretty easy. DonorConnect.life can walk you through the process and what it takes to simply sign up. Check yes to become a donor when you renew your driver's license. Give hope, heal life. DonorConnect.life.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Welcome to Staples.
I hear Staples prints it all for any business?
You bet, and we'll beat any print quote.
So if I had a pizza place...
Staples can print signs, menus, pizza boxes.
A landscaping business?
Oh, we can print yard signs, t-shirts, brochures.
How about a pizza/landscaping business? I'll call it Dough and Mo.
I like it.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5, exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
No delays, but we do have a crash in Sandy on southbound I-15 at 90th South. Everybody, including emergency crews, are over to the shoulder out of traffic. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Spring-like weather lasting through Wednesday with highs in the 60s and a lot of sunshine. Those clouds moving in late Wednesday into Thursday. Thursday, a 90% chance of showers and a 10-degree drop in the high temperature. Right now, 61 degrees. I'm Maria Shilaos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio. Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
During the final few days of Utah's legislative session that ended at midnight on Friday, Adam, it was a long 45 days. I know I felt it. I assume you did as well.
The last day alone felt like 3 or 4 months in normal human years.
And there were so many big questions, whether it was the final budget, tax cuts. A lot of these big questions were not decided until the very last few hours of the legislative session. So there was a lot of stress, a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty going into the end of the session. In the final few days of the session, the legislature discussed what I think was a very, very significant piece of legislation, talking about Senate Bill 242, Public Employees Benefit and Insurance Program Modifications was the title.
I would yawn at that if I were going to do bill tracking.
Any bill number, any bill title sounds super boring until you find out that Senate Bill 242 actually involved in vitro fertilization treatment for public employees here in the state of Utah. We're talking IVF, of course. This, I thought, was an issue that really, really prompted some of the most passionate testimony heard on Capitol Hill throughout the entire 45-day session. We heard from several legislators. I'm thinking Candace Perucci. Representative Perucci stood out as someone who really had some passionate things to say in favor of this bill in committee and on the floor of the Utah House. Also, State Representative Jason Thompson had some passionate feelings, some strong statements in regard to this bill. I have some personal experience with this issue. I was really excited to see this bill pass. Not that it will benefit me in my life now. It would have in the past, perhaps. But I have some history and some personal feelings on this. I am really excited with where this bill ended up. And I'm even more excited that we're joined now by Representative Jason Thompson to talk about the bill. It's Senate Bill 242, expanding IVF treatment to public employees here in the state of Utah. Representative, welcome to Inside Sources.
Adam, so good to talk to you. How are you?
Hey, we're doing great. Thanks so much for being on the show. Representative, I want to play a clip from your testimony that I want listeners to hear. It's when you were speaking on the floor in support of the bill.
Today, because of IVF, my wife Dana and I are the proud parents of 6 children. Josiah and Arlo, who are 15, Miles, who is 12, Henry and Abigail, who are 10, and Pierce, who is 7, 3 of which who came from IVF. Each of them is a blessing we never take for granted, and their presence in our lives is proof that modern medical advancements in reproductive technology can bring hope to families facing infertility. But what about those couples who don't have access to IVF? What about those Utah families who, despite their best efforts, cannot afford this life-changing procedure? SB 242 is a powerful and necessary step toward giving Utah's public employees the opportunity to experience the same joys of parenthood that my wife and I have been so blessed to enjoy.
Representative, that was a pretty powerful testimony you gave on the House floor. And did you ever think that when you were going to be a state representative, this is your first term up on Capitol Hill, that you'd be testifying on something that meant so much to you?
No, I never. No, I didn't. And the surprising thing is this wasn't even a bill that I sponsored. I wasn't the floor sponsor on it. But in committee, it came before our committee and government ops, and it was something where I couldn't help but get passionate about the bill. And my emotions, it was very emotional. Obviously, we at the time the bill was heard, there's a lot of movement on the boards with things getting circled and things getting read in. And I thought the bill was going to be presented earlier in the morning. So my emotions kind of just welled up throughout the morning as it got bumped. And it was such an honor to be able to testify of my experience and speak to the bill, and just so proud of the end result, and optimistic and hopeful that the governor will sign it.
Yeah, Representative Thompson, this is Taylor. I am so grateful for this bill. My wife and I went through multiple rounds of IVF. I have 2 kids, both of whom I would not have if it weren't for this process for in vitro fertilization. And so I actually was a state employee when we started that process. We went into a lot of debt in order to be able to do multiple rounds of IVF to get my kids. I would have loved to have had some coverage here as a public employee for IVF. It was incredibly expensive. I mean, we're talking going in debt to the tune of $100,000 for multiple rounds of IVF before we were successful. We had to take out a loan from family. We had to really extend ourselves to be able to have our family. And looking back, it was well worth it. I don't regret any of that money spent, but I am so happy now that public employees will have some support and some coverage from the Public Employee Health Plan. Can you give us some more details about the bill? Who exactly is eligible? How much of the IVF treatment process will this cover in the future?
Yeah, great question, Taylor. Nice to chat with you. So, all state employees who are on the PEHP health plan, if this bill is signed by the governor, will be eligible for IVF coverage. There was a pilot program that began a few years back where it extended for $4,000, and as you've kind of articulated, $4,000 in the grand scheme of trying to have a family when you're dealing with infertility issues. doesn't really go that far. So this bill is there are some limits on it, right? There's only one embryo can be transplanted. So I think there was a lot of or transferred. There was a lot of contemplation, deliberation there to make sure that, hey, we're not creating high-risk pregnancies by transferring multiple embryos and things like that. But so state employees who are on the PEHP health plan will be eligible for IVF coverage. I believe it starts July 1st.
Okay, on the national stage, Representative Thompson, we've heard a lot. We've heard some Republicans say that they're not for IVF. Some wanted to outlaw it. Their voices were kind of drowned out by, I think, most Republicans. Excuse me. And Democrats have used it during the last election to attack Republicans. In the Utah legislature, though, we only have a few more seconds, so I apologize. Did you see any pushback from Republicans on this issue?
There really wasn't. There was a little bit of concern, and there's some topics of conversation that revolve around some elements of what embryologists are able to do, but that's not what this bill is about. This bill was about making sure that state employees who are having trouble starting a family have the resources and the ability to do that. And I do anticipate that the debate will intensify with the passing of this bill and the conversation that we're continuing to have today.
Now, I wanted to give a special shout out as we're talking about the bill sponsor and the floor sponsor. It was sponsored, SB 242, by Senator Cal Musselman and Representative Stephanie Grecius. So props to both of them for bringing this forward and actually creating the debate on Capitol Hill.
And passed out unanimously at every phase of the process in committee in both House and Senate and both on the House and the Senate floor. So there is a lot of support in the Utah legislature, bipartisan support for this issue. And Representative Thompson, we thank you for being a part of this. We thank you for your passionate, very authentic testimony. These are the kind of things I think that Utah voters need to hear more. They need to hear their representatives expressing their personal feelings in this kind of a very vulnerable, authentic way. So thank you for doing that, Representative.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm just so honored to be able to have the experience that I've had and to be able to talk passionately to an issue that is really important to Utah families. We are pro-family in Utah. One of my goals in the legislature is make sure that I'm looking at pro-family policies, and I can't think of many that are much better than this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Representative Thompson. Adam, a clear win, I believe, for Utahns in this legislative session. Coming up after the break, we're going to continue the conversation about the Utah legislative session, recapping a few of the highlights, perhaps lowlights of the session. Stay right here for that.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served, or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
You hear that? That's the sound your new water makes just before it gets to your bottle. It's the purest, cleanest, and healthiest water you can possibly drink. At Little Spring Water, it's simply nature in a bottle. Little Spring Water is a family-owned and operated bottled water company right here in Utah, nestled in a beautiful canyon in Bear Lake. This spring has been in the family for 5 generations, and now it can be in your home or office as well. No chemicals, no additives, just pure, clean, healthy water. And because Little Spring Water is local, you can get it at a fraction of the cost at your favorite grocery store. But did you know you can have it delivered right to the office? Give your employees something they can enjoy day after day. And while it's a great way to show appreciation, you should be warned. Once they get a taste of Little Spring Water, they won't ever want to go without it. It's just that good. Little Spring Water. Nature in a bottle. LittleSpringWater.com.
It's hard to believe, but summer's right around the corner. Make sure your home stays cool with a brand new air conditioner and get a free furnace for next winter. That's right. When you purchase the premium air conditioner or heat pump from Whipple Service Champions, you'll get a brand new furnace absolutely free. You just pay for the labor to install. This deal won't last long. Schedule your free estimate today. Book online at whipplethataway.com. whipplethataway.com.
It doesn't matter if your only neighbors are wildlife or just wild in general. If you work from home or work is technically at home, every homeowner can save money by getting a ThermWise home energy plan from Enbridge Gas. Discover ways to make your home more energy efficient and apply for rebates if you purchase any energy efficient appliances. Schedule a home energy plan from Enbridge Gas at thermwise.com.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
The 45-day legislative session wrapped up on Friday. A grand total of 582 bills passed. That is just 9 bills shy of last year's all-time record. More than 950 bills had been introduced. Today, it is, starting today, Adam, it is now up to Governor Spencer Cox to sign or veto these bills. He has 20 days from the end of the legislative session, being Friday, of course, in order to sign, veto, or let laws go into effect without his signature. My understanding, according to his public calendar, is Governor Cox is taking a personal day today. Probably not a bad idea. I imagine many of us who went through the session would like to be taking a personal day today.
We all need to take a personal day.
I think Governor Cox has earned it, so we'll give him that. But starting tomorrow, perhaps Governor Cox and his team will be looking closely at a number of bills and considering some of them perhaps for veto. Adam, any bills off the top of your mind that you think would be at the top of Governor Cox's list for examination when it comes to the power of veto?
I have been racking my brain trying to think of which bills he would want to do, which bills he'd want to veto, and there are not a lot that come to my mind.
Yeah.
One of the biggest would be the flag bill. We've talked about a lot about the flag bill, and basically what this is sponsored by Representative Trevor Lee in the State House. And essentially what this started out as, from what I remember, is during an educational curriculum, whatever, teachers cannot display flags outside of the United States flag, the state of Utah flags, military flags, the Olympic flags.
Yeah.
And this also extends to state buildings, any government building. Your
building.
City Hall, you can't display any other types of flags. So you can't display a pride flag. You can't display a BLM flag. You can't display a Nazi flag. I've seen around on social media, Nazi flags are okay, but not transgender flags. That's not accurate. What the bill says is it has to be a part of a curriculum. So if you're doing a curriculum on civil rights and the BLM movement in a history class, go ahead and show the flag.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're going to be talking about LGBTQ stuff as part of the curriculum, you can show what the pride flag looks like.
Okay.
This doesn't prohibit, but it has to be part of the curriculum.
Part of the curriculum of an educational course in a school.
There's no curriculum on a city or government building, so you can't have the Ukraine flag. You can't have the Russian flag. You can't have any of these. You can't have the Palestinian flag. You can't have the Israeli flags. Actually, now that I'm talking about this out loud, you may be able to display flags from other countries. So I'd have to check on that. But that was one of the most controversial on the last day of the session. There were a lot of pro-LGBT groups that held a big protest on the steps of the Capitol, and they unfurled this giant pride flag. And as a protest, Salt Lake City lit up their city and county building
Friday night, right?
On Friday, so they didn't have a flag up, from what I understood, but the building lit up into rainbow colors.
Well, cue legislation next year, Adam, prohibiting certain
different shades of
lighting on government buildings, perhaps.
But he's indicated that he'll probably sign that, but that was one of the most controversial. And so I really don't think that there's going to be a lot to veto this year. It reminded me of when Governor Gary Herbert was preaching to the legislature at the beginning of the session, don't pass so many bills, stop with the number of bills that are going through. And then at the end of the session, it was at the time the late Speaker Becky Lockhart, she stood up and she said, if you don't like the number of bills we passed, then maybe you should pull out your veto pen and tell us the ones you don't like.
I remember that very well.
So it gets a little heated. Do you think there's any that he's gonna pull the trigger on and veto?
Two other bills at the top of my list that I think many would also think the governor would take a hard look at when it comes to a veto. One of those is, of course, the Public Employee Union collective bargaining ban. House Bill 267, I believe, that has already prompted a referendum.
But he's already signed it.
He has already signed it. So clearly that one is done. I think there were a lot of folks earlier in the session that hoped for a veto.
Right.
We saw the protests at the Capitol building calling for a veto. And as you said, you're exactly right. He already signed that bill. So that one is not in question. That is certainly one that was a topic of the veto power earlier in the session. Now, the other one that is remaining that I've heard a little bit of speculation about was the vote-by-mail bill, right? This was House Bill 300. This was the overhaul of how Utah conducts vote-by-mail. Where that bill ended up in the fourth substitute was very, very different than how the bill started. We ultimately keep vote-by-mail in Utah. We do not implement any of the changes to ID with vote-by-mail or the opt-ins with vote-by-mail until 2029. So after the next presidential election cycle, we have time to clean it up, improve it, fix it. The county clerks neutralized their opposition to it in the last week of the session.
That's a big deal. When you're passing a bill, for our listeners, you want to neutralize opposition. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah, for the folks who were actually running our elections, administering our elections, that I think was important. And I want to give a lot of credit, of course, to Representative Jeff Burton for working with the clerks to bring them along and ultimately pass a version of the bill that the clerks could work with. Now, still, there is conversation about Spencer Cox is looking at that bill. He likely won't veto that bill, but nevertheless, I am being told that he is looking at it closely.
Governor Spencer Cox, while we're on the subject, he spoke with KSL News' Andy Cupp about the sheer number of bills introduced and passed this year and says he'll work to make sure it doesn't happen again next year.
There are way too many bills being passed up here. And I've said this, I brought this up last year. I'm going to start being a lot more vocal about this, that this is not good for us. And while we've allowed it to happen again this year, next year you will see me be much more vocal on this. And this is one of the problems. When there's that many bills, we don't even really know what's happening because we're so locked in and negotiating day after day in 45 days that sometimes we miss that there's this theme generating outside here. And so this is helpful feedback for me as I go into my review session.
When I was in the legislature in 2017, it was the same conversation. There's too many bills.
Do you take Governor Cox at his word here? Do you think that is a real threat? Is he actually going to veto more bills next year? It seems like he's not going to do it now, Adam. So why this perpetual threat a veto, and we rarely, if ever, get a veto on anything.
And I didn't read it as a threat of a veto.
Yeah.
The way I'm listening to his this conversation is, I'm just going to be really mad about a lot of the bills you guys are proposing. I'm going to come out early against them. But his office kind of does that anyway. If you're running a bill that he doesn't like and his office doesn't like, they'll tell you and they'll tell leadership, and your bill will most likely die.
Yeah.
So which ones do you cut? Who's not allowed to run bills? That's really the hard part, is the legislature. There's some that run a ton and there's some that run 2.
Well, why is it a fair assumption that just having more bills is inherently bad? So a lot of the bills that passed this year were good and necessary. We just spoke with Representative Thompson about a great bill expanding IVF coverage to public employees.
And you and I have both had parts of the code that we hate, that we want to see go away, and that takes a bill to get rid of it too.
Even if you are trying to reduce the size of government and cut sections of Utah code, the only way that you can do that, Adam, is by a bill. So I get a little tired of this rhetoric that more bills is automatically bad. I can understand where that's coming from, but I don't know that that's true.
One thing I can say for sure is I agree with the governor that it is really, really difficult to track all of these things. Coming up in the second hour of Inside Sources, we're on government shutdown watch yet again. Let's talk about the latest effort to fund the government. Plus, more pushback on Elon Musk's Doge.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL's top local story. Air taxi demonstrations will take place this week. Chris Metz is the executive director of 47G's Project Alta. He says this isn't just a thing of the future, and he wants Utahns to know that.
We want to move forward the concept that this technology is now technology, that this aircraft that's here flew here from Vermont in the National Airspace System, following federal air regulation.
They won't be ready for people quite yet. 47G is implementing the taxis in steps, starting with cargo and moving up to larger items, allowing the company to test their safety and durability. Our top national story this hour. ABC News has learned that a U.S.-flagged oil tanker collided with a cargo ship off the coast of the U.K. ABC's Patrick Reevell has more.
This took place off the northeast coast of England near Hull. Basically, as we understand from the company Crowley, this Portuguese-flagged vessel collided with the Stena Immaculate, which was carrying jet fuel. According to the company, that ruptured a tank that was carrying the jet fuel, which triggered a fire and then multiple explosions.
No one was killed in the crash, and all crew members have been accounted for. Markets ending in negative territory today. The Dow down 930 points, sitting at 41,872. S&P 500 down by nearly 3%, down 164 points. The NASDAQ down 4%, down 754 points. Enjoy the nice weather. Spring won't last. We'll check the forecast coming up next. KSL News Time, 2:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Do you have some money in a savings account? If you do, I want to suggest that you earn more money on that money by transferring your savings account over to UCCU.
Utah Community Credit Union is offering high-rate savings options with yields up to 5.05%. That is a lot higher than any savings account.
Right, so your average savings account is 0.5%, 0.5%, but UCCU has these 9-month savings certificates at a whopping 5.05% rate of return.
Now, savings certificates, like a savings account, they're great ways to earn a safe return on your money, but the difference is a savings account, you deposit, you withdraw, but with a savings certificate, you just make the deposit and you let your money earn some money for you.
For 9 months in this case, or if you want to let it stay in a little longer and earn more money, there's a 15-month savings certificate as well. But either way, you're going to be saving so much money at UCCU.
5.05%, that's more than 5 times higher than a standard savings account.
Just go to uccu.com, select a high-yield savings option, and supercharge your savings.
At Utah Community Credit Union, you're going to love where you bank.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active Liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day Active Liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of Active Liver.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to new, NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New year, new you, New Nordic.
Traffic and weather together is brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
No delays, but we do have a crash on southbound I-15 in Sandy at 90th South. All vehicles are over to the right shoulder. Good speeds and no other problems on the rest of your Valley freeways. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Next couple of days in the 60s before a storm rolls into town on Thursday, bringing in some valley rain, mountain snow heading into the weekend. Right now it's sunny and 61 degrees. I'm Maria Shilaos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Well, it is Monday, just another Monday, which means we are on government shutdown watch again. Tomorrow, the House is expected to vote on a GOP-crafted spending bill that would avoid a government shutdown at the end of the week. It comes as Democrats in Congress tell Republicans, this time you're on your own. Democrats saying that this go-around, they will not vote to avoid a government shutdown. Welcome back to KSL Inside Sources. This is Taylor Morgan here with Adam Gardner. Adam, do you believe congressional Democrats here when they tell Republicans they're not going to vote to avoid a shutdown?
Sure. What do they have to? What do they have to gain? I mean, seriously. You have a Republican. We've campaigned. We've said after this election we have a mandate. Republicans have a mandate. Trump said it. Republicans in Congress have said it. The Republicans have a mandate to govern, and here we are again with a continuing resolution. So it's a Republican-controlled House, Republican-controlled Senate, and a Republican in the White House. And if they can't do it on their own, what is the incentive politically for Democrats to jump in?
A razor-thin majority.
That's right.
In the House. And if Democrats indeed vote as a block, if this comes down to a party line vote, Adam, the Republicans cannot lose any Republican support if they hope to avoid a government shutdown. Let's begin this conversation with ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
Beyond a few tweaks cutting some domestic spending and boosting it at the Pentagon, the bill mostly keeps government agencies funded at their current levels. But House Democrats, who typically vote to avoid shutdowns, say they won't be on board this time because there's nothing in the bill to prevent future DOGE-related cuts. Should it pass on a party-line basis in the House, at least 8 Democrats in the Senate would have to sign on to break a filibuster and avoid a Friday night shutdown.
Okay, Adam, do you think the Democratic Party in the House is going to keep these Democrats in line? What are the odds of a strictly party line voting?
I think you'll get it in the House.
Okay.
The House, it's more of a team sport. It's very hard for like individuals to make a real difference unless you can have a big gang of them.
Yeah.
So I think since there's no incentive really to see the Democrats to see the Republicans succeed here with their help, they're going to just let it play out. In the Senate, it's going to be a different story. They need 8
They have
votes.
to have 8 Democrats.
It's impossible right now. You need to have 8. I want to. We're talking about a CR, a continuing resolution. It really means to continue the level of spending from the previous fiscal year's levels. Okay.
Yeah.
So we keep thinking, oh, great, we're not adding to the budget. We're not adding to anything. That's not necessarily true. And something that's a little anecdotal that I saw over X really exemplified this. Marco Rubio, he tweeted out, after a 6-week review, we are officially canceling 83% of the programs at USAID. The 5,200 contracts that are now canceled spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve, and in some cases even harmed, the core national interests of the United States. In consultation with Congress, we intend for the remaining 18% of the programs to now be administered more effectively with the State Department. Thank you, DOGE, for your hardworking staff who worked very long hours to achieve this overdue historic reform. Now, Justin Amash, a former member of Congress, a libertarian member of Congress, he really kind of nails this on the head. This is what I've been feeling lately with DOGE. He said, Rubio's assertion is highly misleading and deliberately so. Take it from someone who voted against this funding every time, which Marco Rubio voted for the funding, USAID funding every time.
Okay.
Only Congress can cut this spending, and they're about to fund it all again in this week's CR because it's all of your current programs are going to be refunded.
Yeah.
So even if you cancel a contract, the money doesn't just go back to the Treasury.
It is still spent.
It's still spent or sitting in the USAID budget. It's not like they can take that money and reallocate it and give you a tax break. That money is spent, and they're going to spend that same amount of money all over again.
See, here's what's so interesting about this, Adam, is when and how will we as American taxpayers, as voters, are we ever going to really feel any kind of impact of DOGE? You know, we have Elon Musk and President Trump every week touting all the millions and billions of dollars that they're saving in terms of cutting federal employment, programming, all of these things. Yet it hasn't affected my life at all. I saw my tax bill for 2024, and I'm not paying less in federal income taxes now suddenly thanks to Elon Musk. Last time I checked, my tax liability is going to be about the same, if not more, for 2024 than it was the year before.
I think the Trump administration, your point is totally well taken, and I think the Trump administration would say, you're not supposed to feel it. This is not going to be a blessing to you because we're making substantial cuts here, and cuts always hurt. And so we're going to be cutting the federal bureaucracy. If we get rid of the entire Department of Education, you and I aren't going to necessarily feel that.
What about the $5,000 check that I was promised, Adam?
You weren't going to get that anyway.
Okay. So what you're telling me is I am getting absolutely no benefit from all of these cuts, yet I'm going to be using dirty bathrooms in Zion National Park this spring and summer.
So the benefit that you are going to see is not going to be immediate. With DOGE cuts, it's meant to hurt.
Okay.
If you're going to cut enough to make it matter, it's going to hurt, and you're going to have maybe have dirty bathrooms at Zion for a while.
I don't know if the lines for shuttles can get any longer down there, but it sounds like they will.
Just wait, because I think they will. And that's the point. That's the point I think the president is trying to make, is this is not going to be easy. You didn't vote for easy. We're going to make this extremely hard. And
if I wanted hard, I would have voted for Biden again, Adam.
Your kids are the ones who are going to benefit from this. The argument is we are $36 trillion in debt, Taylor. And so if you're going to actually make a dent
you sound like my dad right now.
Listen, young man, if you're going to feel any of that later, it's you don't want the interest on the debt to keep going up. We're spending $1 trillion a year just in interest payments. If you start to pay down that debt and pay off some of that interest, then that's when you notice your savings. But that's not going to be for a while. But it's not going to be for a while because it's changes you have to make today.
Well, listen, I am happy about Donald Trump's action and taking action when it comes to immigration to the border. And I know that the process is controversial and messy. I don't agree with the way everything is being implemented. However, I'm excited to see some action on immigration, for example, because for 50 years, both parties have just kicked that can down the road, okay? I am happy to see cuts in federal spending, right? I'm excited that we're cutting inefficient programs. We are ending leases of empty government buildings. I'm excited about all of that, Adam, but here is the issue. If these cuts do not improve our lives as voters, as Americans, if the threat of these tariffs and all of the economic instability compounded by not benefiting as a taxpayer, by my taxes not going down, that to me is a recipe for Democrats taking the White House and Congress in the midterm and in the next presidential election. Voters want results, and they don't just want a lot of cuts and a lot of pain without some tangible benefits coming eventually. I do not believe Donald Trump when he says we'll be so rich we won't know what to do with the money. I don't believe that for a second. I want real results, and I want them now.
Okay, done. Okay. I'm happy to make that happen. I'll fulfill those campaign promises. This is important, but I think it's really important that it's known that we bring Congress along with us.
Yeah.
You can't just make these unilateral cuts. That doesn't work.
Right.
Coming up on Inside Sources, more pushback on Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, this time from Republican lawmakers, and Democrats are already using ads to go after Musk. We'll get into both of these stories after the break.
Peyton was a very kind and giving person. At 15 years old, he sustained life-threatening injuries from a motorcycle accident that took his life. His family felt like Peyton would want to save others and made the decision to donate his organs. Because of their generosity, his organs saved a 2-year-old girl, a teenage boy, and others that were desperate in need of life-saving organs. Go to DonorConnect.life and read about what it takes to become a donor. Did you know many people think that they're too old or not in good enough health to be a donor? Anyone can be a donor. If you were told that it could save the life for someone close to you, or even a stranger, would you donate? Finding out more on why you should become a donor is easy. DonorConnect.life can walk you through the process and what it takes to simply sign up. Check yes to become a donor when you renew your driver's license. Give hope. Heal life. DonorConnect.life.
When it comes to great deals on tax prep, Jackson Hewitt isn't holding back, and neither is this commercial. Their offer is so big, it has to be said with Reverb. Expert tax prep for $149 or less. It's a deal so spectacular, it needs a symphony, some explosions, and a clock ticking, because this offer, $149 or less. And soon, one expert tax prep for $149 or less. Try Jackson Hewitt today and save. Whew. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part 1 in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means It'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Kinetico is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Kinetico delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Kinetico dealer, Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? This week only, all Pro Elite wash items and accessories are buy one, get one half off. That's car wash, tire cleaner, leather cleaner. All buy one, get one half off. Sponges and towels, we've got duo weave, waffle weave, whatever weave you want. Accessories too. Pro Elite floor mats, car covers, and more. Any Pro Elite item, buy one, get one half off. This week only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is Rod with great news for Utah homebuyers. When you hire the Save Right team of realtors at Realty Path, you get a BankBuster loan with a fixed interest rate in the 5s. What is a BankBuster loan? A BankBuster loan gives you a fixed interest rate in the 5s. BankBuster loans give you maximum buying power. Monthly payments can be up to $800 lower. BankBuster loans can save you hundreds of thousands in mortgage interest. Get your BankBuster loan when you hire the Save Right team of realtors to help you buy a home. Start with a rate in the 2s. Ask us how. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com. Get way more home for a lot less money. Get a BankBuster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Republicans are pushing back on Elon Musk, reaffirming that Musk does not have the authority to actually fire people, only to make recommendations. It comes as Democrats already get underway with political ads trying Musk's unpopularity to Republican candidates.
Now, I think this is a mistake. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Adam. Democrats trying to run against Elon Musk, to me, is just short-sighted. It is a silver bullet that won't amount to any elections being won by Democrats. I think this is just the latest tactic that we're seeing coming from national Democrats, right? Looking for shortcuts. And at the end of the day, Democrats are not going to make any electoral gains until they give voters a reason to believe in and vote for their party.
I don't disagree with you, because I think Democrats are kind of stepping on their own shoes here. It doesn't make a ton of sense, this line of attack. Polling is showing that only 39% of Americans like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But tell me, what I've seen that's very common in Republican circles and very common in Republican attacks, especially in very deep red districts, going after George Soros. This is a George Soros-funded candidate. This is a George Soros program. And so we make him kind of the boogeyman, where they're trying to do the same thing to Elon Musk. Is that different?
It's not different, but neither is a winning strategy. Neither are effective when it comes to, beating an incumbent to winning an election. Now, Elon Musk, as you mentioned, his polling shows, recent polling shows that only 39% of Americans like Elon Musk. Adam, do you think that number would have been any different a year or two ago, before Elon Musk had this quasi-official appointment as head of Doge? I think fewer Americans knew who Elon Musk was or liked Elon Musk before his position with the Trump administration. He is just not relevant. He's not an elected official. And at the end of the day, look, even if Elon is polling really, really terribly, if you're a Democratic candidate for Congress, then, if you're running against Elon Musk is not on the ballot anywhere.
I think he is totally relevant, Taylor.
Okay.
And the reason is because every time I read an article or see a snippet of something on X or TV, first of all, he's the only thing you see on X. Every single one of his tweets show up in your algorithm. So it's
and just try filtering him out. It doesn't work.
But I can't because I need to know what he's saying. Like I need.
Do you really though, Adam?
Because it is important because what he is saying reflects on the administration. And I'll to give you an example, immediately after Donald Trump starts taking away all help for Ukraine, he starts aligning himself in the United States with Russia, and all defense going to Ukraine ends. And immediately after, Elon Musk is just the world's biggest Russia apologist and going after Ukraine. And even to the extent where Senator Mark Kelly, from an Air Force pilot, an astronaut, very famous in his own right, married to former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. If you remember when 10 years ago or so, she was shot in the head at a campaign event. And so there's a lot of fame with this couple. Mark Kelly went and visited Ukraine as a senator and former veteran, or as a veteran, and said, we patriotic Americans, we love Ukraine. And commenting on that X post was Elon Musk, and he called him a traitor. And that's a big deal because it's not some guy, some billionaire. Billionaires talk and yell all the time, and who cares what they have to say. But this is a guy who's in cabinet meetings. This is a guy who's briefing Congress on what Doge is doing. This is a guy who, not the vice president, is standing behind Donald Trump in the Oval Office during these press conferences.
Yeah.
It's him and his kid.
Okay, I can understand the argument about, if you are a Democratic candidate running for Congress, right? You are running against a Republican in Congress. You are trying to be a check against the policies of the Trump administration, which are inclusive of Elon Musk. I can understand that. It is still a step removed, however, from the Republican on the ballot that the Democratic candidate is running against, right? So it is a step removed. It is running against a proxy, and it is not just an effective strategy. However, it is an entirely different level of fecklessness, I believe, when Wisconsin Democrats use Elon Musk as a way to help a Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate. This is something entirely different.
That's fair.
Let's listen to a little more about this situation.
Firing air traffic controllers, cutting rape crisis centers, attacking Social Security. Elon Musk is out of control. And now the power-hungry billionaire is unloading millions to buy the Wisconsin Supreme Court. He knows MAGA politician Brad Schimmel is for sale and will abolish the checks and balances that protect us. He thinks he's above the law. Protect our last line of defense. Vote Susan Crawford for Supreme Court.
Okay, Adam.
Well, first of all, this makes me so glad that Utah does not elect our Supreme Court.
One more great reason to not live in Wisconsin. Were those lasers in the background? What was that?
I think so. You know what? It makes me wonder. Now my brain's kind of churning here. Is Elon Musk putting money into this race?
I have no idea. Does Elon Musk even know where Wisconsin is on a map?
But the fact that we talk about it and I'm like, wait, is Elon Musk really funding a Republican Supreme Court justice for a state?
I don't know, and I really don't think it matters, Adam, because this to me, regardless, I don't believe that Elon Musk is supporting a MAGA, quote-unquote, MAGA Supreme Court candidate. Maybe our producer, Andy Cupp, can hop on Wisconsin campaign disclosures and see if there's any fact or not behind that. Maybe not. Maybe Andy has other things to do right now. But my point here is that, in my opinion, this is something that I have seen so many political candidates and campaigns do over the years. And recently, it has been done more by national Democrats. Rather than articulating their values and their priorities and their policies, they have simply become a party against Donald Trump. And this is more of the same.
Tell me, if you are running Democratic campaigns, tell me what those values are right now. Tell me what on the national stage, what you can identify the Democrats proactively doing.
I can't. Adam, that's the whole problem, and that's why they lost this election in such resounding fashion.
But isn't that why you go after Elon Musk?
No, because what happens in a year when Elon Musk is no longer part of the Trump administration?
That's next year's problem. We'll figure out something else.
Well, the midterms are next year, not this year, right? If you spend all of your time and money polling on and building campaigns running against Elon Musk, you are, number one, you're surrendering to Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is the president of the United States right now. And a lot of people like to claim that Elon Musk is running the show. But Elon Musk is not in office. Elon Musk is not on the ballot. And Elon Musk will not be on the ballot in 2026. Running against a proxy when there is another name on the ballot, that has never been an effective strategy. It is a losing strategy. To me, this is Democrats looking for a shortcut, looking for a silver bullet that ultimately will not win any elections for them.
Democrats have a problem.
Yeah.
They have a problem, one, with messaging, and two, with they don't know what to message.
Yeah.
They don't have a clear message. What they did with Kamala Harris did not work. You can see the change really quickly with Governor Newsom going on Charlie Kirk's podcast and then saying, I don't believe that men should be playing in women's sports, and kind of bucking the party on transgender stuff. They're starting to change. They're starting to see that their strategy isn't working.
Yes.
And while you're changing, you need a boogeyman. You need someone to go after. And if there's a race this year that you can hit Elon Musk, it's a short-term solution. I think you're right. It's not long-term.
Yeah.
But I think it's all they have.
The real target for these Democrats should be those Republicans on the ballot who said yes to Elon Musk. That is who they need to start going after.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Next on Inside Sources, President Trump recently signed an executive order on anti-Semitism, which revokes student visas for foreigners who protest on college campuses. Stay with us. We're going to be talking about that next.
Good afternoon. It's 2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL's top local story. Salt Lake City police have arrested a man accused of selling fentanyl near a local library. Police say Aaron Hall admitted to possessing illegal substances. He was accused of having more than 300 suspected fentanyl pills on him. Police booked Hall into the Salt Lake County Jail. BYU football coach Kalani Sitake is about to follow in his mentor's footsteps and become only the second active football coach to be asked to give a school-wide devotional at BYU. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
LaVale Edwards was known for his fatherly advice to his players, and that was extended to the entire student body when he was asked to give it a devotional in 1976. Tomorrow, Kalani Sitake, who played during LaVelle's final 2 seasons, will be just the second coach to take to the devotional podium.
The devotional will also be unusual in that Sitake is right in the middle of spring football practice. Tomorrow's devotional begins at 11 a.m. Our top national story from ABC News. Israel has cut off electricity to Gaza, affecting the area's water supplies. Negotiations with Hamas look to restart in Qatar. Adi Alexander says his son is still being held in Gaza.
We're just really hopeful. We saw our son. We heard some testimonies from the recently released hostages that they saw him in the tunnels. He was strong. He tried to help other civilians.
Alexander says he hopes the groups will come to an agreement soon. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending down more than 900 points to end at 41,872. S&P was down by nearly 3%. The NASDAQ, it was off by more than 4%. Still to come, we'll update your weather. A few nice days before the storms move back in. We'll get an update coming up next. KSL News Time, 2:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Rebates and tax incentives sound great, but they can be a little bit of a headache when it comes time to claim them.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we try and make it as easy as possible for you to claim those rebates. We even have a rebate support specialist on our team to answer your questions and help you get every dollar your new furnace and air conditioner qualify for. You might not realize it, but right now, local utilities are offering over $2,400 in rebates, and there's another $3,200 available in federal tax incentives. That's over $5,600 in additional savings for qualifying heating and cooling upgrades. When you couple those rebates and incentives with Any Hour Services free furnace sale that's going on right now, I mean, even if you've just been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner, it makes a lot of sense to schedule a free estimate and learn more. One of our HVAC supervisors can come to your home and explain everything. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
What if your limited inventory had unlimited potential? What if your biggest risk was not taking one? What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's Business Solutions can help bring your biggest what-ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting-edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
For most of us, our home is our pride and joy. And when you invite someone in to clean it, you expect the best. At Zerorez, they take that trust seriously with cleaning that goes beyond the surface. The highly trained Zerorez technicians use patented ZR water to remove all that winter dirt and grime. That means no harmful soaps or harsh chemicals, just a deep clean that lasts. Whether it's carpets, tile, or upholstery, they do it right. Plus, right now, with 3 rooms for only $119 and 1 hallway for free, there has never been a better time to get a start on a spring cleaning that you can depend on at a price you'll love. Plus, the unique Zerorez process leaves your home clean in just a few hours instead of a few days, meaning you can enjoy your refreshed home fast. If for any reason you're unsatisfied with the quality of your cleaning, Zerorez can re-clean the areas you're not happy with for free within 30 days after your appointment. Enjoy this season with fresh, soft carpets by getting started today at Zerorez.com.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Any trouble spots, Ricky?
Not on the freeways. That's where we have a nice and quiet drive, good speeds and no problems. But for downtown drivers, watch for the final cleanup stages of a crash at Main Street and about First South. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Enjoy the next few days in the 60s before a storm rolls into town on Thursday, bringing in some valley rain, mountain snow headed into the weekend. Right now, sunshine and 61 degrees downtown. I'm Maria Chaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
One of the many executive orders signed so far by President Donald Trump was one addressing anti-Semitism. It came as a result of the pro-Palestinian protests that erupted on college campuses nationwide last year. Now we're seeing the effects of the executive order through the arrest and impending deportation of a green card holder protesting at Columbia University. What makes this situation interesting is that the executive order spoke of revoking student visas, not green cards, which come with greater freedoms and securities. Welcome back to KSL Inside Sources. I am Taylor Morgan alongside Adam Gardner. Adam, any immediate reactions to hearing the news of this pro-Palestinian protester, this student that is now set to be deported?
Okay, great question. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of feelings on this. I do, however, want to give a little context to what happened at Columbia University. So, as we know, police are expecting major protests around Columbia University today as a result of this arrest.
Yes.
And I want, here's ABC's Regan Medji to talk a little bit about what's going on.
This is all happening because federal immigration officials arrested a Palestinian activist who played a role in Columbia University's pro-Palestinian protests last year. Khalil's attorney says the Columbia University graduate was detained while returning to his apartment and is being held at an ICE detention center. Now, his attorney says ICE agents said they plan to revoke his student visa.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
Let me talk about. I'm going to be kind of raw here
Please.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And very truthful, and I may contradict myself on a number of different occasions as I go through this. So I apologize because I'm trying to get my head wrapped around all of this.
Don't be too careful.
Okay.
Let's get your authentic take here.
Number one, Mahmoud Khalil and other students like him that are protesting in favor of Hamas, I think are wrong, and I think it is disgusting. And I think if you are a pro-terrorist, I have a problem with that.
Okay.
I'm really bitter towards what is happening to Jewish students on college campuses, especially at Columbia, where buildings have been taken over. Jewish students were not allowed to attend class. Some were assaulted, prevented from going to class, prevented from leaving class. I have a huge problem with what's happening on our universities. I think it is disgusting that after a woman and her 2 babies were strangled and killed in captivity in Palestine, that their posters are being ripped down on Harvard by Harvard professors. I have so much anger for these evil people that are protesting in favor of a terrorist regime against allies of the United States and against the Jewish people. I think they're anti-Semites. But this is all obviously my opinion, but I have a real problem with that.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing Mahmoud Khalil go back to Palestine.
Yeah.
I don't want him here. Get him out. That is my first tranche of feelings.
Okay.
My second tranche of feelings, which I'm having a harder time. I am okay if you are preventing Jewish students from going to class. You're breaking the law. You're vandalizing a building. Easy. Get out of here. I don't care which side of any issue you're on. Get out of here. You're breaking the law. What I have a problem with is if you are just leading a protest on your own, that's a violation of the First Amendment and we're kicking you out for it.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
That makes me nervous because I think it would be wrong and immoral and evil to protest Russia to protest Ukraine. And if I were on a college campus and was protesting Ukraine and the president of the United States, which now we have changed the culture of America to no longer be on Ukraine's side, but to be pro-Russia. Now am I on the wrong side of that debate just because the president of the United States feels like I am?
Yeah.
Am I going to be deported because he feels like that shouldn't be what I should think? I have a problem with
protections of free speech we have in this country that are guaranteed by the Constitution are indeed most fundamental when it comes to protecting the right of speech of those who disagree with the majority, of those who are speaking up contrary, I think, to public opinion, to the will of the majority. And indeed, this, Palestinian pro-Hamas protester who is here not on a student visa, who is here on a green card. And that's part of this conversation that we need to get into because that comes with some protections that are above and beyond that of just a student visa. If this is what the right of free speech, this exact scenario, I believe, is designed, this is the kind of speech that is protected in America. This is what makes our country great, is that even though we can disagree with his speech, right?
I hate everything about what he said.
Yes, me too.
I think his views are evil.
He's just wrong. And it is really disappointing to see someone with those views being educated in our country. Even if it is on a private university campus, still, it is so uncomfortable and so disgusting to see someone that is pro-terrorist, that is protesting, that is preventing Israeli Jewish students from going to class. Unacceptable. Yet that speech must be protected. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. But I think you had two different points of view here. Preventing students from going to class, I think, is against the law. And I think
it depends.
I think it's an overaction
on what that looks like.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
Sure. If I'm setting up like a picket line or something,
Sure.
or I'm saying you guys can't go on the quad, but you can go around. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Good
So
point. Yeah.
there's some nuance to this, but you're right. I think just the act of protesting is not a problem. These we saw it at University of Utah. They were allowed to protest, and everything was fine. But camping was against the law.
As soon as they broke the rules and
Yes.
they went beyond the free speech area, they overstayed their permit to camp on the lawn.
Which you can't do.
They were booted.
Now,
there's an argument perhaps to be made for civil disobedience, right? And sometimes breaking the law is part of that. It's not something I would do, but
you have to live with the consequences.
You do.
If one of the consequences is I come from China and I am protesting against Taiwan or something, and I start breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, you're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to revoke your student visa. I think you have to live with those consequences.
Now, here is where I get alarmed, Adam, is how Secretary of State Marco Rubio described this situation. He said in a post on X last night, Marco Rubio said, quote, "We will be revoking the visas and or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported," end quote. To me, that statement by the current sitting U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is unconstitutional. You cannot just revoke the green cards or student visas of Hamas supporters.
I want to see it happen, but I have a real hard time.
I do not want Hamas supporters being educated in this country. I do not want that. But those who are here legally with a green card that are here studying, their right to take a position and have an opinion politically in public, that is protected by our Constitution. It cut and dry. Am I wrong on that?
Nope, you're spot on.
Okay.
In our final segment on today's Inside Sources, we're going to be finishing up by taking a look at Utah's billboards and what it tells us about our culture.
Are we going to talk about blankets, Adam?
Yeah, coming up next.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
You bought a house. Or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home. Your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter, and this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home.
amckitchenslc.org.
You wouldn't know it, but most financial advisors are put in a box. I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want to provide you a little insight about financial advisors. Most financial advisors have to sell what their company requires them to sell, and many advisors have to only adhere to what's called a suitability standard. A suitability standard is a limited standard of care, not requiring what's sold to be best, just suitable. Advisors with this loose standard often have limited investment and product selection. Trajan Wealth is held to a fiduciary standard, which is the highest standard of care in the advisory business. And that's just one of the many reasons we have billions of dollars under our care and attract clients from other advisors. Raise your standards today and call Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
How does a soccer club, born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
and unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
As a business owner looking to take your business to the next level, it's all about the right marketing. But what exactly is right for you? At KSL News Radio, we are ready to help you craft the perfect comprehensive strategy. Whether it's our powerful talent endorsements, engaging live interviews, creative production, live events, or our extensive digital platforms, we've got you covered with the right solution. Contact Stephanie Palmer today, spalmer@ksl.com, and let's grow your business together. Email spalmer@ksl.com.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Adam Gardner here with Taylor Morgan. You know, every once in a while we like to take stock of kind of the billboard game in Utah politics.
The billboard game.
Okay, look.
Talk to me about the billboard game, Adam.
I think over the last probably 20 years, billboards have been kind of some of the most controversial topics in city councils, up on Capitol
All right,
Hill.
are we just talking Julia Reagan here?
Tell me about Julia.
No, I'll move on.
You know what? I actually think she's going to pull out a win on this election. I've seen her name everywhere and in every. I thought it was just a Utah thing too.
Yeah. It is not.
It's not. It's elsewhere.
Yeah.
Minky Couture blankets.
Lola there's a full on
bunch of
blanket war. Okay, Adam. If you thought the cookie wars were something, if you drive from Salt Lake to Provo on I-15 these days, you will encounter more than a dozen billboards advertising blankets. Minky Couture versus, I believe it's Lola, these luxury blankets. They're everywhere, Adam. The blanket wars have begun.
It's kind of crazy, and it's like KSL did a story about like what this tells us about our culture and what is important to us. And some things I see all the time. We see Julia Reagan, but that's kind of everywhere. But Reagan
that's
billboards
phasing out a little bit, I think. Yeah.
But Reagan billboards, that's based in Utah.
Correct.
I mean, it's based in Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
and so they have a big presence up on Capitol Hill. Then you have the official everything of the Utah Jazz. You have the official peanut butter of the Utah Jazz. I see that as I'm getting off the exit.
Always
to go to
the
my
Jazz
office.
logo in colors with some kind of corporate sponsor. That is always, there's a few of those on I-15 as you get toward downtown Salt Lake City, right?
Do you see many cookie billboards anymore?
No, I don't. No. Blankets.
It used to be everything.
Yeah,
but blankets
Crumble,
have kind of replaced it.
Dirty Dough. I can't recall all the brand names of the cookie wars when it came to the billboards, but definitely the blankets seem to have replaced the cookies on billboards.
There's multiple billboards. I see it in Utah County and in Salt Lake County advertising these colored scriptures from the Church of Jesus Christ
Latter-day Saints. Counter of how many sets
with the
sold
counter,
this month.
Exactly.
Do you actually believe that many have been sold?
Well,
how accurate is that counter?
My problem is when I'm driving and I see like 7 sold, and I'm like, well, that's not that many. Why would you post it? And I'm like, oh, today's the first.
It's February 1st,
and I'm like I'm flipping through, like paying attention, like, oh, they sold more than they did last month.
Yeah,
and it's kind of funny. Like, obviously, that's a big cultural thing. The jazz, a big cultural thing. It used to be cookies. Now it's mostly blanket.
Yeah.
And then there's in tech, you used to have to guess what this tech billboard meant.
Oh, right. Yeah. Especially the billboards. There were always a few of them sequentially as you.
Homey was really big at that.
Yes. As you
and
drove
Domo.
from northern Utah County across Point of the Mountain there into Salt Lake County, you would always see those 3 or 4 billboards that were kind of a running billboard ad there with 3 or 4 in place, right? So I will say the interest rates billboards, with the mortgage companies advertising, those have become very depressing for
I know.
me. I cringe every time I'm passing one of them on the freeway these days. It used to be great because, the rates on those billboards a few years ago, Adam, were always in the 1s or 2s or 3s. Nowadays, I just avert my eyes.
Yeah, they're 6s and 7s. Like, who wants to look at that and be depressed?
So what do you think billboards say about us as a culture? Do you think billboards, is it just advertising? Is it just targeted dollars here? Or is it safe to say that billboards are potentially a reflection of Utahns? Is there something to all the blankets, maybe all the plastic surgery? I see a lot of those.
That's true. There's a lot of those.
When I get on the
freeway,
I get on the freeway northbound at Bangerter there in Draper, and I'm immediately confronted by several plastic surgery, augmentation type billboards there in Draper, kind of South Sandy. What do billboards say about us as a culture?
I think they kind of nail it. Whatever you think is going to sell in along the Wasatch Front, I think they do a pretty dang good job. You can tell when you're driving down south, when you're going through Beaver, Iron County, they're pointing to the restrooms, the best. We have the best restrooms of any gas station on the way. Or, hey, we know you're probably going to Vegas, so here's where you should stay in Vegas, or Mesquite. Here's where you should gamble. And they're kind of the same with Wendover. Hey, here's what concert is playing in Wendover. You're only 90 minutes away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does hit our culture a bit, and I think that's fine. You have a couple of the more risque ones. But when I lived in...
Are we just talking plastic surgery?
No, a little more risque than that.
Okay.
When I lived in Kansas City, there were some pretty awful, not obscene, but like way more than when you're driving, you want your kids to look out the window and see. And I don't see we have a ton of that in Utah. Political candidates.
Yeah.
It used to be kind of the thing was you would have major billboards. In fact, I remember 2 of the billboard races that really stick out to me. One was Congressman Rob Bishop when he ran, and he had one billboard up that said, Utah has enough bishops, send one to Washington.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant and funny.
That was fun. Yeah.
When I ran for office as a county recorder, and nobody cares about the county recorder's office until you have a problem with your real estate here, or your title.
Please don't tell me you bought billboards in your race.
So I did they have the blip ones.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The
electronic billboards.
Yeah, they were electronic.
Yeah.
They were super cheap. And so you could do tons of them all over the valley. And people would say, hey, I saw your billboard today.
Yeah.
And so mine was a picture of my pocket with like a calculator in it, multiple pens, and then
you went full on nerd.
A recorder from when you're like in 4th grade.
Okay.
So it was,
I think perhaps you shirtless with a blanket might have been a better play.
Well, I lost either way. I would have lost by way more if I would have done that.
Maybe a live counter with how many cases of identity theft or whatnot that you had stopped that month, Adam. That might have been more effective. Listen,
that's actually pretty funny.
Next time you run for office, I'm available.
I appreciate that.
Do you think billboards work for political races in general?
You know what? I do. I think if you have them, in the right spots, they work. You should never get them just to get them.
Yeah.
They got to be in your district. They have to be in high traffic areas. The problem is if you're running for a House district in Sandy and you just put it on I-15, 99.9% of the people driving past are not going to be your voters, and I feel like you're paying a premium for something that doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah.
In my neighborhood, Representative Cheryl Acton, I remember she had a billboard in her area, and it was in a great spot on Redwood Road. That was smack dab in the middle of her area, and so most of the people driving by, that's money well spent.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is the most effective, most eye-catching billboard that you can remember?
Okay.
What kind of billboards really grab your attention?
Honestly, Shen Yun.
Really?
Just because you see it every year.
Okay.
And it's everywhere. Like, they're everywhere. They're not just and I've never even been to one of their shows.
Is that a dance performance?
Yeah, it's like a dance performance, tells the story of ancient China type deal. But I know that they're very anti-communist. Like, they actually have a message that they kind of bring with it.
Oh, interesting.
I remember when I was working for Senator Romney's office, we would always get hit up by Shen Yun and say, "Hey, we'd love a letter. We'd love for you to attend."
So
because
some
we're pushing back against the
political
PRC.
tones. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it sticks out because it's like this light blue, and you see it every year, and you just think like, "Oh, it's that time of year again," because it's everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, good to know. I'm a big fan of what is called Tech Alley, and this might be just because I live in Draper, the south end of the Salt Lake Valley. So if I drive south, if I drive north, I'm seeing more of those plastic surgery ads with imperceptible differences. In the past, some of those have been quite distracting. Most of those have gone away, but I tend to see a lot of tech ads because I'm kind of right in the heart of Tech Alley, so to speak. And I'll tell you what, whoever in the tech industry lets techie creatives get behind some of these billboards
instead of marketing
sometimes it takes almost too much effort to understand exactly what it is they're trying to say. Just maybe bragging about revenue, trying to recruit. Sometimes it's really hard to know, Adam, but there's a lot of tech billboards.
Thank you so much for being with us this Monday afternoon. Join Rusty Cannon and Aaron Ryder. Next up, Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.